Just flew back from the owners' meeting, so let's do Graziano's with all of the things you heard while you were on the ground for us in Palm Beach, beginning in Minnesota.
J.J. McCarthy's the Vikings guy at quarterback. I mean, the dalliance with Aaron Rodgers, I guess, could resurface, but I think, based on everything I heard, it would take something drastic happening with J.J. McCarthy, something like another significant injury. They are full steam ahead with him. They believe that what they need to do this offseason is put the pieces around him to make him as successful as possible. So if you're thinking that Aaron Rodgers is on the way to save the Vikings, I wouldn't get my hopes up on that one. A former Vikings quarterback who still could be on the move, Kirk Cousins. The Falcons have insisted they won't release him. They've made good on that. He's still on their roster. They're still saying he could be their backup this year, but they also kind of hinted around a little bit that, hey, if you made us a nice trade offer, we'd at least listen. So when you get into the draft, if teams like, say, the Cleveland Browns haven't found their answer at quarterback, don't be surprised to hear some Kirk Cousins trade talk, maybe even that weekend, Friday, Saturday of the draft. And then at the top of the draft, still nothing set in stone, but it does start to sound like more and more people around the league are convinced that it's Cam Ward headed to the Titans with the one pick. As we talked about in the earlier segment, teams can change their minds, fall in and out of love, etc. But it seemed like most of the people I talked to this week were speaking as if Cam Ward to the Titans at one was the most likely outcome.
Well, it is my job to look at literally every mock draft, and everyone I see has them taking Cam Ward, Tennessee, at number one, including Fieldgate's new mock draft, which dropped this morning. Draft 4.0 for Field, and he's got Cam Ward number one. He has Shedeur Sanders 3 to the Giants, Jaxson Dart at 21 to the Steelers. Those are the only quarterbacks going in round one. Then early round two, Tyler Shuck to Cleveland and Will Howard to the Saints at number 61. Let me show you where these quarterbacks sit. What you're looking at on your screen now are the quarterbacks who went in round one last year and the top members of this year's class. The ones that are shaded in were last year's picks. So you see where these guys would fall. Cam Ward, a bunch of them ahead of Bo Nix. Cam Ward with basically the same grade as J.J. McCarthy and almost the same as Drake May. Caleb Williams, of course, was on a level all his own. We know that Bo Nix and Michael Penix both went in the first half of round one last year. So let me bring young Field Yates into the conversation on that thought. It begs the question, teams that need quarterbacks sometimes make these moves for guys that people like you have in the 30s and the 40s on their big boards. Are teams about to make a big mistake overdrafting quarterbacks in the next couple of weeks?
Well, Greeny, we have seen the quarterback tax come back and bite teams in the rear in the past. I think what makes this top of this draft particularly unique is that, the New York Giants need a long-term vision. I go back to January 7th when team owner John Mara talked about the decision to keep Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, the head coach and the general manager for this team. And he said the number one priority this offseason for the organization is to find the quarterback that we can win with going forward. Now, he did not say it was only going to be through the draft. Maybe the team feels as though Russell Wilson gives them enough for this year that they can make a credible effort to jump up in the standings. I'm just not sold that he is enough in a division that features, in many people's eyes, two of the top three quarterbacks in the NFC, Jayden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, who, by the way, the Super Bowl winning team and the NFC Championship game, other team in the Washington Commanders. So I do think the Giants, even if there is a bit of an incongruence with where I have Shedeur Sanders on the big board and where they are picking at number 3, they have to at least think long and hard about a player who gives you a chance. I don't know how strong of a chance it is, but he gives you a chance to have your quarterback that you can build around for perhaps a decade, a la what happened with the 3 teams at the top last year.
If you're just joining us for this new hour, our newest man is Peter Schrager, and he's with us here today for the first of what will be a great many times to come. The last year, all these guys got pushed up, right? I mean, we just saw those draft ratings. No one thought that Bo Nix or that Michael Penix were going to go nearly as high as they did. Will that happen again? Should we be expecting these names to come off the board a lot sooner than they're being mocked?
Sean Payton fell in love with Bo Nix and was hell-bent on getting him. The Vikings knew they needed to take a quarterback, so they were like, we're going to take a quarterback. The Falcons we weren't all aware of, but we thought the Raiders might be going with Penix. I don't have teams telling me, like, we love Shedeur Sanders, or we love Jaxson Dart, or we love Tyler Shuck. I think last year there were perfect matches in all of those, and even if Atlanta seemed odd at the time, they obviously had great affection for Michael Penix, and he already is their quarterback. We're only on April 2nd. Greeny, I don't have a team saying, like, hey, Jaxson Dart's my guy. He's blown us away. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. We saw him at the Combine. He actually worked out. He's interviewed with teams. He had a pro day. No one's doing flips over Jaxson Dart right now, so I can't say he's going to go 3 to the Giants or 6 to the Raiders. I just don't have that intel, and I don't think it's the same class as last year.
So a lot of these teams that need a quarterback, if you feel like a guy is there that can change your franchise, and also it's very important that they have the supporting cast, right? That plays a major part in a lot of these guys' success.
If you're the Giants, do you take the quarterback or do you take whichever one of the guys is still available, Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter?
If I love Shador, I'm taking him. If not, I'm taking one of the Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Yeah. It's that simple.
And then you're probably looking at quarterback at the top of the second round.
34th pick.
Exactly. You may not like Tyler Shuck as much as you like Shador Sanders. But when you factor in the price, Tyler Shuck with the 34th pick, you like better than Shador Sanders with the 3. Right? You come out of the first round with Travis Hunter and a quarterback.
It's Hunter and Shuck as opposed to just Shador.
I will make a prediction.
It's the Bengals, right? A.J. Green, Andy Dalton model.
Yeah. And let the record show that my predictions are almost always wrong. But it is my prediction that when the second round starts, when we all go to sleep on that first Thursday night, Tyler Shuck will no longer be available.
Ooh.
Someone's going to trade into the back half of the first round. Signed, but he and Steelers star wideout DK Metcalf had a throwing session over the weekend at UCLA. Here's the Steelers owner Art Rooney at the meetings, asked about the session and on waiting for Rodgers to make a decision.
I would say it was a good sign that he wanted to do that, and we keep hearing that he's I guess headed in our direction, and so that seems to be all signs are positive so far. I'd say we feel pretty good about it.
Are you content to wait?
Well, not forever, but a little while longer.
He doesn't seem like a happy man. I don't know him personally, but that doesn't strike me as his happy face. You see the squad that we have here. Peter, I'm all too familiar with the dance that the Steelers seem to be doing right now, right? There's a particular dance you have to do with Aaron Rodgers in order to get this thing settled, and that is the dance. Ultimately, will it be successful? Will he ultimately play in Pittsburgh?
He has the leverage. If he wants to play in Pittsburgh, he can. If he wants to take as long as he'd like, it seems like that's okay, too. Pittsburgh has nowhere else to go right now. Look, this is now in hindsight, but when the Rams dangled Matthew Stafford out there, the Giants were all in, the Raiders were all in. Steelers sat on their hands. They weren't aggressive, and then it was, hey, you got Russell and Justin Fields. There is now no option. You're not going to Mason Rudolph week 1. As much as they said, Mike Tomlin said he was comfortable with it, that's not a legitimate option for the Pittsburgh Steelers built to win now. They're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, and the hope is that he chooses them, which is such an uncomfortable position for that logo, which has so much history and so many Lombardi trophies in the hallway.
Now, look, I read into things, Harry. Yep. Rodgers had a throwing session with DK Metcalf in L.A. over the weekend, and as you pointed out earlier, magically there were cameras there to take in all the action. I mean, look, am I putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with he's going to Pittsburgh?
Well, a lot of things are leaning towards Aaron Rodgers going there, but I can tell you right now, Art Rooney II, he is not relaxed until that.